Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets and our co-host, Harbor Access, we're very pleased you joined us for the European Growth Conference. Our next presentation is from Corero Network Security. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides, and you can view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings by clicking Book a Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Chris Goulden. He's the Chief Financial Officer of Corero Network Security, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol DDOSF and on AIM under the symbol CNS. Welcome back, Chris.
Thanks, John. Great to be back. And good morning, everybody. Appreciate your time today. As John said, we are Corero Network Security. We are a cybersecurity company, and we focus on protecting the threats against companies' service availability. So these are specific cyber attacks that they're commonly categorized as DDoS, which is distributed denial of service attacks. Essentially, bad actors who throw a form of different cyber attacks against your network in order to take you down and take away your service availability. So I've been with the company for just over a year now. Our CEO, Carl Herberger, he's been with the company just over 18 months, so a relatively new management team. Carl actually, in a previous life, he ran the security portfolio of one of our major competitors for 10 years. So he knows the industry and the tech as well as anybody. As John said, we are listed in London, but our kind of base of operations is primarily in the US, and we operate in a number of countries around the world. So a few stats and metrics just to give you an overview of who we are up front. So at the half year for 2025, around $11 million of revenue. Like most tech companies, we are kind of heavily weighted into the second half of the year and into Q4. The pleasing stat for us really at the half year was the growth of our annual recurring revenue, our ARR, so 25% year over year. And we're seeing this as kind of customers are really moving away from the traditional upfront purchasing of software, more to taking up our SaaS option, which has a kind of short-term impact on in-year revenue, but really grows and protects our future revenues as we go forward. The stat, if you look in the middle then, customers, the 100% there, what that's saying is some customers buy on a CapEx basis, some customers buy on a SaaS basis, but every single one of our customers contributes to our annual recurring revenue. Even if they're buying on a CapEx basis, we have 100% uptake on maintenance to go alongside the software, which contributes to our ARR. So a really strong story towards our ARR growth and our continued revenue growth. Alongside that, we have 98% customer retention, very high validation of our software and our services. And when customers take up our managed service option or our fully managed service option, we actually have 100% retention rate with those customers. You can see at the moment we are kind of heavily weighted revenue-wise, 73% into the US and 27% to the rest of the world. That is actually decreasing. It did used to be up around the 80%. Part of Carl's refreshed go-to-market strategy was to increase or broaden the geographic spread of our sales team. And that is reaping benefits in places outside of the US, predominantly in LATAM. Onto the right-hand side, just very quickly, one of the things that we're really proud of is one of the independent analysts, Spark, they produced this matrix in July, which for the first time moved us up into the leading company kind of category. But more importantly for us, we were recognized as the emerging innovator in the space, which we're really proud of. It's a really key strategic goal of ours and really validates the work that our engineering team are doing. We operate in a market that's worth roughly $4 billion. And with our current on-premises DDoS protection solution, we can address about half of that. As it stands, though, our market share is nascent, which provides significant opportunity for us to take share from our competitors. In this space, there are only a handful of our competitors who provide a complete solution that they develop and sell themselves, of which Corero is one. We are the smallest. As I say, that's where the opportunity lies for our revenue growth. Yeah, let's move on. So we talk about DDoS protection, service availability protection. What is DDoS and what is a DDoS attack? Well, essentially, it's bad actors who launch attacks in various forms with the intention of overwhelming your network and taking away your service availability. Now, if you rely on network uptime or service uptime, as many companies do these days, to generate revenue, your network going down and your customers accessing your services is going to significantly impact your revenue stream. Corero's solution effectively acts as a filter. So the way that these bad actors overwhelm your network is they typically fire illegitimate traffic into your network, and they overwhelm the capacity of your network, preventing legitimate traffic, legitimate customers accessing your services. So what Corero's software-led solution does is we filter out that illegitimate traffic whilst at the same time keeping the legitimate traffic secure and flowing. So not interrupting service at all. Now, the need for DDoS protection is ever increasing as the attack landscape continues to evolve. So larger attacks, they're getting larger, they're getting more sophisticated, they're getting longer in duration. Generating a DDoS attack is actually relatively simple in the world of cyber attacks. It can be purchased relatively easily off the black market if you know where you're looking. Equally, the smaller attacks, which can actually be more difficult to detect, they can be equally disruptive. And as I say, it shows there that makes up 82% of all attacks seen by internet service providers. All industries that rely on network access to run their businesses can and are affected by DDoS attacks, and are deliberately targeted for this reason by bad actors in this space. Moving on, you can see the kind of recent attack trend and even some of the names that have been victims of DDoS attacks recently. Some big names with some technical know-how. You know, DDoS attacks are relatively easy to create, but to solve the problem is actually quite difficult. That's why there's only a handful of actual companies in this space that develop their own solution to this problem. So we said earlier, kind of the market is roughly 4 billion, of which we can address about half of that currently. The market is growing significantly. It's around 15% CAGR based on industry analyst estimates. Should take that market over 10 billion as we head into the early 2030s. We've also recently launched, for the first time in Corero's history actually, additional products that are adjacent to DDoS. I'll talk about that more later on a separate slide, but we believe that this could, even in the near term, double our addressable market with these additional products. So how does Corero's solution fit in the market, and how do we differentiate? Now, Corero's solution is software-led. Our software can run on any device, any server that is capable of running this kind of software. But fundamentally, that means we're hardware agnostic, which is a significant differentiator in the market compared to our competitors. We do sell hardware, but there's nothing special about our hardware. It's simply, it's optimized to run our software, but apart from that, it's pretty much off-the-shelf equipment. And as I say, this is unique to Corero because Corero's main competitors, they write their software exclusively to their own units. They tie customers into buying their hardware, expensive hardware as well, and it increases the complexity of that solution within the customer's network. So in terms of how the solution works, there are two ways of protecting against DDoS attacks. The first is on premises, where the solution sits inside your network, but it could also be done on a cloud basis as well. So our Smart Wall 1 solution, which is our primary product, it's an on-prem solution. So it sits on the device inside your network. It can either be a device that you purchase from us, or we can do a virtual solution that that sits on your existing network. So as I say, DDoS is a difficult problem to solve for, and that's because these attacks happen quickly and the effect of the attacks are almost immediate. And so detection of these attacks and then mitigation, they must be done quickly whenever an attack happens. So our on-prem solution acts more quickly and more effectively than our competitors. And actually, through our technology partners, we can offer a hybrid solution. So our partners who have an on-cloud, our cloud-based protection solution, they combine that with our on-prem solution, and then we offer the customer what we call a hybrid solution, then that gives what's technically agreed to be the optimal level of protection. I mentioned our new product suite. So this product suite, which we have called Core, which is the Corero Observability and Resiliency Ecosystem. So this is the first time that Corero has branched out outside of pure DDoS. And this platform offers capabilities, essentially adjacent products that are quite often, or almost entirely, bought alongside DDoS. You know, Corero didn't offer these products before, but our competitors have offered these products for a long time. So this really closes the feature capability gap for Corero towards our competitors. So we launched this platform at the end of 2024, and we sold our first 2 solutions in the first half of 2025 for a total of $1.8 million. So a great immediate return on the development of this platform. So not only does this expand our addressable market, but as I say, it closes the feature disparity that we sometimes faced in competitive situations. The Corero on-prem DDoS solution, it typically proves to be technologically superior to our competitors, but we previously lacked these additional capabilities, and sometimes that led to us not making it through the RFP. So we're really excited about the Core platform and the future of the company with these additional features. So I mentioned that the Corero on-prem DDoS solution is technically superior to our competitors. That's because it mitigates attacks quicker and more effectively. But on top of that, you know, I mentioned that our software is hardware agnostic. This is a significant differentiator for us as it reduces the complexity of the solution within the customer's network. It often results in lower hardware costs, and that then reduces the kind of spend for the customer, but also the complexity within their network, as I say. And actually, with this cost saving that the customer often sees, they tend to redirect those funds into our fully managed services. Now, our competitors do offer managed services, but not dedicated to DDoS the way that Corero does. So again, this is a key differentiator for us. I mentioned this Spark Matrix earlier. You can see that we're now in the top right-hand quadrant of the industry leadership for the first time. And as I say, being recognized as the innovator in the space, being the smallest player, it's really key for us, and we're really proud of that achievement. So some numbers then for FY 2024. So group revenue was $24.6 million, which was a 10% growth over the previous year. In 2024, we generated an EBITDA of $2.5 million. That was driven by a healthy gross margin of 91%. If you look at the history of our gross margin over the past 4 or 5 years, you'll see it's steadily increased and achieved the kind of 91% and held. And that's as we've moved towards the software-led solution, and we've reduced the percentage of hardware in terms of our sales. Now, for 2025, revenue is expected to be flat with growth in H2. And this is, as I said, we've seen a significant change in customer sentiment in the first half of this year, away from upfront software sales, more to our SaaS model. Now, that's great for protecting our future revenues, but it has pushed some of the revenues that we would typically recognize at point of sale into future years. So if you looked at our 2024 accounts, for example, you'd see that 40% of our 2024 revenue was point-in-time revenue, effectively upfront software purchases. So that means 40% of sales to be found the following year just to stay flat before we grow. Now in H1 2025, this percentage reduced to 29% as more of the purchases were bought on the SaaS basis, which are recognized over the contract term, which is typically 3 years. So it means more of our future revenue is secured through the SaaS model, and the percentage of in-year sales that we need to go and find again just to stay flat before we grow, that's reduced, increasing the likelihood of growth in future years. So the chart on the right-hand side actually just shows the growth of our ARR over the past few years, and you'll see the significant uptick in the trend line at the first half of 2025. This is really reflective of this change in customer sentiment that I mentioned, away from upfront CapEx deals towards our SaaS model, really contributing to the ARR growth. So 73% of our sales currently run through the US. As I mentioned, this is a decreasing percentage as the refreshed go-to-market strategy has expanded our sales resources outside of the US, particularly in territories LATAM, Middle East, and Southeast Asia. We've been particularly successful in Brazil actually over the past 12 months. The pie chart at the bottom left then, this shows our revenue streams. So the dark blue section is our point-in-time software and hardware sales. The lilac is our SaaS offering, which we call DDoS protection as a service. And the green is our maintenance and support revenues. So green and lilac combined, these are the revenue streams that contribute to our ARR. So in terms of the strategy, when Carl joined at the start of 2024, he kicked off this refreshed go-to-market strategy, which firstly involved expanding the geography of our sales team, as I mentioned. So we put direct selling roles into Chile, into the Middle East, and into Singapore. And we've already seen returns on those over the past 12 months, which is great. We've doubled the size of our direct selling team as well. And we're driving growth through our partnerships. In many of these territories, it's partner-led purchasing. So we've done a refresh of our partners and really focused on existing partners that are really contributing to us and bringing in new partners with new opportunities. We're particularly driving this growth through our 3 key alliance partners. This is Akamai, Juniper Networks, and GTT. Now, in all 3 of these relationships, it acts as a sell-through model where these partners utilize the Corero solution to sell to their customers. We mentioned innovation earlier, so both in the existing DDoS product, but now also into the adjacent products that we mentioned through the core platform. And doing all of this in the most effective way to maximize value for the company and to maximize value for shareholders. So this slide gives you a bit of a snapshot of some of the customers that we have won recently. It's quite unusual actually for customers to agree for you to share that they've purchased through you. In the security world, customers don't often want the bad actors to know who's protecting them. But because of the confidence and the effectiveness of our solution, they're willing to do so, which is a great validation of the product in my mind. So just some key takeaways then, just to summarize the investment case for Corero. So the strong ARR growth of 25%, this is massively outstripping the market. High margin recurring revenue, high visibility of the future revenue flow. And as I say, the high gross margin enables us to really effectively drive value into the bottom line. Sticky customer base with 98% retention, great for future revenue and a validation of our software and our services. With the existing customers, we have a high upsell rate actually, even with the existing solution. either at renewal time or as customers grow. We managed to upsell to 60% of our customers in the first half of this year. And now we have the expanded core platform to be able to offer additional services to those existing customers as well. We're currently debt-free, and we have sufficient resources to support our near and mid-term growth targets. So the cap table is fairly simple. 38% of our shares are owned by insiders. So that's directors, but predominantly our chairman and founder, Jens Montanana. He owns 37-ish% of that 38%. We also have a solid base of private and institutional holders as well, with that 52%. Share options really are the only diluting factor in the cap table. A small number of options held by management and long-term employees. So this is the executive team led by Carl, as I mentioned. Ashley is our CTO. He's an industry veteran. He's also a former CEO of the company as well. He's great to have on the team. So thank you for your time. I look forward to talking to more of you across the rest of this conference. And if you do have any questions, please click the link and I'll be happy to address them.